Well, we made it, my friends. July 5th, 2021, 9:46 a.m., and we got some interesting stuff to cover, and I'm sure you know a lot of it already. Tropical storm Elsa still churning just underneath Cuba. We're going to get into all the details on that and the risks to Florida. Also, if you had told me a week ago that on the 4th of July I'd be researching mud volcanoes, I probably would have disagreed with you. But yet here we are, and I'm sure some of you know why. Within a 2-day span, this is another thing that is just unbelievable to me. We've had 2 major gas line explosions, one in the Gulf of Mexico. I'm sure a lot of you heard about this, and this one being dubbed the Gulf Ring of Fire. Just a few days ago, a leaky gas pipe ignites underwater in the Gulf of Mexico, and it literally looked like this giant light beam and these bubbling fire. And what's interesting is that a lot of people said it looked just like an underwater volcano. And now in this crazy world we live in, we are now talking about a second gas line rupture from an actual mud volcano. This all taking place off the coast of Baku, Azerbaijan, which is a country that borders the Caspian Sea and is known for its oil production. And all you gotta do is search on Google Earth for that area, and you'll see right away that basically the entire sea, or at least this area of the sea, here's Baku and then Azerbaijan, here it is right here, and here's Baku, and they said it was just south of there. So we're looking in these oil fields right in this area, and if you zoom in, look, all you see are oil fields, hundreds of them. This entire strip right here is all different oil platforms. They're all along this area too, and the further you go out, you see more and more and more. So we could zoom right in on these things and see each individual one if you want to. You guys can go do that on your own, but the point being is that not only are the oil fields common here, but apparently, specifically in the Caspian Sea, these mud volcanoes are very abundant. In fact, they tend to form near petroleum deposits. So when it comes down to the details being given to us, it actually seems that this type of situation should be happening more and more with the amount of oil fields and the amount of pipelines underneath, specifically the Caspian Sea. It's interesting to know that there's so many mud volcanoes in that area, and this has only happened, I guess one time that we know of. I think it's just a little weird that it took place so close to the Gulf of Mexico Ring of Fire. But what is a mud volcano? I'll read this to you very quickly. A mud volcano or mud dome is a landform created by the eruption of mud or slurries, water and gases. Several geological processes may cause the formation of mud volcanoes. Mud volcanoes are not true igneous volcanoes, as they do not produce lava and are not necessarily driven by magmatic activity, okay? So these aren't like these hot spewing lava volcanoes. These are mud volcanoes. Some of these can actually be cold. Pretty interesting stuff, and just the timing is blowing me away. So as you can see here, this was the fireball created. There is a video out there. I can't play it for copyright reasons, but this was a little bit different than, let's say, when I scroll down to the Gulf of Mexico Ring of Fire, because this thing was just kind of on the surface. It just burned there. We had these big ships shooting water at it. No clue what this ship was doing out here. But as we scroll back up, you can see this one came out of the water and went like a few hundred feet into the sky. You can see this big mushroom cloud here. So I'm not sure if that was from the force of the mud volcano, or if this pipe broke at a different angle that's launching gas through the surface of the water, or if it has to do with the depth of that part of the Gulf and then the Caspian Sea. I'm not sure on that, but what I do know is 2 major gas pipelines have ruptured in a matter of 3 days. I don't think anyone could have really expected this to go down, and I should probably mention that as of right now, in the information that I've gathered, nobody's been hurt. None of the oil rigs were actually destroyed. This was a pipeline between 2 different oil rigs, and on Google Earth over here, I'm not exactly positive which of these rigs was the one that caused the fire or had the fire between it, but I'm sure those details will surface if they're not out there already. Still, just a very odd situation going on. I'm very interested to see how it plays out. And before we get back into Tropical Storm Elsa, this took place just 27 minutes ago while I was filming this video. Take a look at this. Unspecified depth, unspecified earthquake, but we have a report of shaking and or some sort of sonic boom in Orlando, Florida. Go ahead and click the user reports right here. We have one at least, and it says, I was in bed and it started shaking in a way I haven't experienced. I thought it was a dream since I was half awake, but then I woke up fully and it was still shaking. We'll see what comes of this. Again, we just have this one report right now, so not going to put too much into this, but it is showing a reported quake near Orlando, Florida. And if we zoom up here, we can see unconfirmed quake Monday, July 5th, 12:21, and I'm assuming that's UTC time. Oh, and by the way, if you want to satisfy your mud volcano needs, all you have to do is type in mud volcano erupting on YouTube, and you will be pleasantly surprised with the amount of videos out there, including the one you probably really want to see. I'm going to do a little more research onto what it is I'm allowed to show you guys and not allowed to show through fair use and stuff like that. So if any of you actually know that stuff, you know, throw it in the comments section. We'll find out. All right, back to Tropical Storm Elsa, which is still very much alive. In fact, we're going to get down here really close. We're on a water vapor chart. This is what we call lower level water vapor. So the green you see is going to be basically what you experience on the ground, give or take. So we can see that this storm is trucking towards Cuba. We're just underneath Cuba now. And keep in mind, most of the action going on is on the east side of the storm. So the central part of the low pressure is going to be just to the west of where you see all this. Basically draw like a half circle right here, and then that low central pressure is going to be right to the left of it in the center. As of this video, which is consolidating the 8 a.m. report and some of the 11 a.m. report, because some of that info is out, even though it's only 10, but this is what we expect right now, and I have a little bit of a forecast for right here. Most models are showing a strengthening between the northern edge of Cuba and that final landfall spot, whether it's the east coast of Florida, it could be that panhandle if it goes up a little more. We are seeing that northern movement right now. It basically just started happening, but even this right here is a bit concerning that these are still S's. They're basically saying that this thing is moving quick enough that we're going to experience these tropical storm winds and conditions almost along the entire stretch of this until it gets to the Carolinas. Of course, we won't know that until it's basically touching Florida, and before that, we have Cuba to deal with. So we could see some weakening. We may even see it drop below a tropical storm, but again, this gap right here between Cuba, the Keys of Florida, which don't really have too much of an impact because it's minimal land, then that distance to the west coast of Florida is enough for this thing to strengthen again. I'm going to show you how. So if we look closely at these spaghetti plots, you see areas that say 24 and then 48 and then 72. I'm sure that's not hard to figure out, but that is where they think the storm will be in that amount of time. So 24 hours from now, they're expecting the storm, at least most of these plots for the storm, to be right here just to the west of the Keys. And then within 48 hours, you could see some little differences here. Some have it a little bit north, closer to the panhandle. Some have it right in that pocket on the western side of Florida. And some have it a little bit further south, not even making landfall yet. So this is where things get very interesting, is this little gap between northern Cuba and the western edge of Florida or that panhandle. And now that you have that info in your head, we know that within 24 to 48 hours, or at least between that area, which is right here, we could see 0 to 48, that switch is going to take place and the storm is going to enter that area of open water. So now that explains why you see two of these plots after that 48-hour mark, after it's cleared Cuba and it's in between Cuba and the west coast of Florida. That is when it's possible that it could strengthen again before making landfall somewhere on the Florida coast. So that is why you see after 48 hours, two models bumping this thing back up to a Category 1 storm. It's not just a guess I'm making, it actually shows it on the data. And trust me, my friends, we've seen more happen in less time. So that's not even the issue here. It's just a matter of whether or not the conditions are going to allow it to happen. One thing I want you to notice before we end this here is the jet stream. We have a long front of moisture. You can see it almost like a wall of water there. And now you notice in the next couple hours, you're going to be able to really see the movement of this storm that just started going north. And that is directly because of this long, drawn-out, basically a force field. And you can see just as it gets close enough, now this storm's going to slow down, and then it's going to start going north. So we could be seeing this thing directly straight up through Florida. We may not even get this hook here, so a lot of time for change. But as of right now, for those of you that live in Florida, the Keys, you have a basically overall 1 to 2 feet storm surge prediction. You will more than likely feel the effects of the tropical storm before it has a chance to really start strengthening. In fact, you'll be right in the middle of it while it has that chance. And then as you move up towards that pocket of Florida before the panhandle begins, that west side of Florida, you're getting an average of 1 to 3 feet, and then all of a sudden 2 to 4 in this area. And that is because that possibility lies of the strengthening. I'm going to try to keep this one on the shorter end for you guys. I hope you all had an awesome weekend. I did. I definitely did. It was nice actually feeling normal for a couple days, if you catch my drift. I'm working on a second video for today with some very anomalous stuff on the weather radar that are really sticking out to me. I've seen them before. I've posted on them before, and you guys seem to really enjoy it. So we're going to dig into it and figure out what exactly is going on over the skies of the US. Some of you may have just seen it, if you know what I mean. Thank you all so much. Shout out to Canada. I'll be back a little bit later. later. Have a great rest of your morning, guys. Be safe. Bye-bye. Stop right there, my friends. If you have not already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Click all and you will get all notifications from this channel. And trust me, you won't be disappointed.